Hello, and welcome to the Believe Retreat live stream. Today is Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, and we can't wait to introduce to you one of our fabulous guests. This is the Believe Retreat for Creatives. Let's roll the intro. Here we are. I'm Joanna. This is
Hey,
Heidi.
Joanna. It feels like it's
Hey,
been forever since we've seen you.
I'm
Hey, I'm
telling
Heidi.
you.
And I'm Francine. Welcome back, Joanna.
Hey, I'm so happy to be back with you ladies today. This Believe Retreat is transforming our lives, our second season. Before we introduce Kate Phillips, the fantastic wealth coach, who wants to share with everyone why we created the Believe Retreat?
I think it's Francine's turn.
Is it my turn? The reason we created this community is because as creatives, we often get stuck in that cycle of creating and doing and stressing. And we just wanted time to come together as a community, take a breath, and talk about what's going on in the creative world and how we could work together to make all of our lives easier. Because when we come together as a community and we combine our energies, amazing things happen. Ooh, I just got the chills talking about this. What do you think, Heidi?
Well, I think that as a creative, sometimes it's really hard to be around a bunch of people that are not. And when you start talking about all of this extra stuff that you're doing, all these creative projects, a lot of times you don't exactly get the response you were hoping for from people. They just don't quite understand. So, one thing that I do love about this community and getting together every week is being able to talk to people that really get the things that I'm struggling with and be able to talk it out in a way that is constructive so I can figure out a way to get through it.
And
And that's one of the biggest things that I appreciate, because in the past, I just kind of put those things in a box and then continued to just push forward with progress, progress, progress. And eventually, that stuff that was kind of thrown back in the junk in the trunk did catch up, and it caused some real car problems. So,
right?
um,
And what's the number one issue the majority of creatives have? Funding, selling, and visibility to sell more. Correct?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, I hear about that one a lot.
that's the reality, but we don't have to be starving artists, everyone.
No.
Let me introduce you today to Kate Phillips. Since 2005, she's helped women overcome money blocks and financial fears to build wealth. She's a best selling financial author and coach. She's driven by the belief that everyone deserves a second chance at wealth. She's full of fantastic ideas that you're not going to get from your typical financial advisor. She helps you with your relationship with money, the relationship with yourself and success, and she is a tremendous resource. I am so happy to present to you Kate Phillips. Here she is.
Hey, Kate.
Hey there. Thank you all so much. Such a joy to be here. Yeah. I would
Well,
love, Joanna, you just mentioned this thing that's so key, changing your relationship with money. Can we start there?
absolutely. You take the floor and you let us know. You work it.
Let's do that. So, for a lot of creatives, and I think you also said, like, we don't have to be starving artists. I majored in like religion in college and I was a musician. So I had like the starving artist and the money monk thing both going on. And something I've discovered as I've completely transformed my own relationship with money is that most of us, especially creatives, we might be tempted to believe this myth that money is like the obstacle. It's like the challenge, the obstacle. It's standing in our way. It's between us and our dreams, or it's making us make these compromises. And it's like, dang you, money. If it wasn't for money, like life would just be bliss and wonderful. But dang it, I have bills to pay. And I want us to see money as like on our side, like it's standing, it's not like across from us, with its hands up, fists up in the air. It's like standing next to us. And it's like, let me guide you, let me show you. And money can help us in so many ways. And I don't just mean like because we have money and we can spend it on the things that we need or want to spend it on, but money can teach us discipline. It can teach us focus. It can get us up in the morning when we might otherwise sleep in. I see heads nodding there. Money can show us how to give more value or how to give more deeply, or it shows us what people want. Have you ever noticed that like money speaks to us? It's like, okay, the money's not flowing back. Like maybe I'm not giving what people actually want or need. And so when we can see it as a guide rather than the enemy, we see it as our ally rather than the obstacle in the way, then we start, like discovering, the breakthroughs that we need to make.
We need that. I love that. And it seems that even the further along we are on our career and income generating journey in life, the closer we get to that retirement where we're supposed to have millions of dollars in assets to carry us through to the rest of the life of our lives, we get a little nervous. So, what do you have to say about that for those of us with the gray hair who are closer to retirement than to the beginning of our careers? What if we don't have that $1 million plus, et cetera, to live off of in concepts like, live off of 4% and
Yeah, the 4%. And but I'm going to just explain the 4% rule and then we can pick it apart. The
good.
4% rule is a financial planning, retirement planning rule that says that when you retire, you just need 25 times your annual expenses, and you can start drawing 4% off of that, $1 million retirement account that you have, and that'll be enough, and it'll set you up to be able to navigate inflation. Well, for every $1,000 a month expenses you have, that's $300,000 sitting in a retirement account. So let's say you want just an extra 3,000 a month to do some traveling and different things. Maybe you've got Social Security. That's $900,000. Like that's a lot of money for, a whole lot of creatives. So the first thing I would say is that the retirement model that works for a lot of corporate folks, they get the matching 401k and all of that, and work their way up. It's broken for a lot of us. It just doesn't work. And that's okay. It's up to us to discover what I call a new retirement paradigm and navigate a new way, which is focused more on cash flow than on net worth. And it's also focused on the idea, this is my life now, because for those who know my story, I was in my late 40s when I went through a huge financial storm as a real estate investor, in the not so great recession, as I call it, the Great Recession. And I was caregiving my father at the same time. I lost everything, including my own home, and started over from scratch in my late 40s with a mountain of debt. And the goals that I had, like to be a millionaire by 50, not happening. And so I discovered this new retirement paradigm for me and started teaching it to others, which is really around the most valuable asset is your time. And the game isn't to get to that $1.5 million in my retirement account as soon as possible. The game is to create cash flow doing things that I love with my time, to create a life that I don't want to retire from, that I don't need to retire from, because it sustains me. It doesn't drain me. This is not draining me today. This is not like, it's work technically, perhaps I'll connect with a new client, but this isn't like something that I just can't wait to retire from. So for a lot of people, and you might be a creative and maybe you're also working in a typical job, and I think we all get to a point where we're ready to retire from the commute, from the cubicle, from the corporate, um, the corporate
Right.
whatever, the politics. But then how do we keep earning money, doing the things that we love and supplementing whatever we might have, and doing it in a way that we just love how we're spending our time?
So I have a question for you, because this comes up a lot when I talk to creatives. They're like, well, I don't want to start doing my creative thing for money, because then it's going to become like a job and it's not going to be fun anymore. What do you think about this perspective?
That is largely echoes my experience, to be honest, because I've been a singer-songwriter for my entire life. I have at times done music professionally, and I've done like the church thing, where you play in the church band or sing in the church choir, and you get paid for that. I've been paid for gigs and pardon me, just different kinds of things. And I realized when I was gigging more and I had like my band, and we were, doing gigs at restaurants and coffee shops and places with people, and I realized that I I would rather sing for 5 people who are listening in my living room than for 50 people who are not listening, where I'm like competing over, the noise going on in the place. So I think that's a really personal decision. And I'm a huge fan of multiple streams of income. And I think we find what fits for us. Sometimes selling your art, selling the song, selling the book, selling, the artwork. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure behind that, and sometimes it might work better to have multiple streams of income. Then really the question is, again, wanting to love what you do with your time. You can go out and get an unrelated job. I'm going to go wait tables and then I'm going to paint, like 2 unrelated things. Or you could develop multiple streams of synergistic income. There is a British singer-songwriter named Mary Spender, who is, I think, one of the most brilliant like business women in how she made started, how she created a successful six-figure income for herself. And this is after she, was gigging and really trying to do trying to get the record deal. And she met with everyone, sat down with all the heads of labels and submitted, demo tapes again and again. And she was working like a corporate job on the side and trying to gig on the weekends and exhausted all the time. And trying to get the record deal. And she heard no, 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 again and again. And then she started a YouTube channel. Now, you might know about YouTube, when you get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 per year watch hours, you get monetized. You start making money from YouTube. So that was the first, or one of her many income streams. And over the years, she just gained more and more. I forgot to check today to see how many subscribers she had. Last time I checked, it was well over 600,000 subscribers. So she has built up this channel, and she is the master of multiple streams of income. And what she realized was that her original music was not actually the thing that was putting most of the money in her pocket. That was just like a little sliver of her streams of income. But she started doing like gear reviews and guitar, she got guitar sponsors and did gear reviews, and she did cover songs and collaborations with studio people. She just, because she, honed her skills in filmmaking, she just released a documentary on Dire Straits. She just found all these creative ways. She started doing like YouTube essays. That's actually how I found her. I didn't even know she was a singer-songwriter at first. She would do these rants or these essays, like verbal essays, and she has this wonderful, soothing British accent voice, and she would talk about the state of the industry or just big ideas in music. And she gained this following of people who loved her. Like, they weren't even there necessarily for the music, but they loved her. She did a brilliant stunt. She didn't know John Mayer, who I think is also British, singer-songwriter. You guys know John Mayer.
Yeah.
He put out like a teaser of a song. It was before the album came out, and he put out like 30 seconds of one of his songs, like a teaser for it. And then he didn't release the whole song for a month or two. In the meantime, Mary Spender beat him to the punch. She finished writing the song as she would have written it. She did like a fun, quick, music video on the beat. She put it out, and she got his attention. So he's contacting her. He's promoting her. Next time he puts out a new song, he invites her on a live stream to like help release the new song and, review it. And so they're friends. And so she's made all of these connections. It's been about connections and community and planting seeds and finding things that she loves to do. And then I just checked out her YouTube, and she's releasing, I think it's her third or fourth album now. She's built a studio largely with her YouTube money. And now I see that her original songs, they're getting hundreds of thousands of views, whereas they used to just get like a little bit. And I tuned into an interview that she did recently with another musician, and she said, originally she thought she wanted to play the big stadiums in the UK, and she's like, I wasn't good enough then. And she said, maybe I'm still not good enough, but if it takes longer than you think, that's okay. Like, you've got to find your path. And your path might not be the same as somebody else's path, and how you're going to put together those multiple streams of income in a way that feels good for you. I use music now. It's like I really went into the wealth coaching and wealth education business, but I use music from kind of like a personal growth because it shifts energy. So I use music in a different way. I know Joanna's a big fan of my song, I Receive. I recently did a 22-day receiving experiment, and I wrote a song that captures the energy of receiving so we can use our gifts in unlimited ways. And when we focus on trying to sell the song, trying to sell the painting, sometimes it leads us in the wrong direction.
That is
Yeah.
great. I think I'm going to be able to share maybe a link to the song.
I just did.
Thank you. In the comments or in our border, our stream.
I did it in the
Well,
comments on my Facebook page. So it should, I
Terrific.
believe it will go to all of our pages.
Yeah.
Yes.
and while that is going on, so I heard you kind of allude to something that we were talking about earlier before we went live, where we were talking about social media strategy, and we're like, oh, how many times do I have to post per day? Or, oh my goodness, what kind of stuff am I posting? And all of this energy that just kind of gets like swept along with that. But it really has nothing to do with that. And that story you just told just kind of captured, you know, how you build momentum and you build community. And that's what gets you to have people following you and watching you. You said it is her. It
Yeah.
is just the person that people are intrigued with and are watching. What she has put together, all of her pieces of the things that she's interested in, and then she's not afraid to tell her story, right?
Absolutely. A- Absolutely. Social media. I love what you just said, Heidi, about like, oh, what am I going to post today? Or how many times do I need to post? And I want to flip that for you, if I may, because I'm a little older than you are. I can tell. I remember life without, I didn't grow up with the internet at all. And I was helping promote music before the internet ever existed. I even brought, I'm going to stand up here. These are posters that I created with my ex-husband probably in the about 1990 or so. And to promote a music gig, we would go to Kinko's in the middle of the night and put together posters. This is in Seattle. My 6'4" ex-husband would then go around with a staple gun and, kid you not, staple these posters on telephone poles as tall as possible all around Seattle. That is how you let people know that there was a gig coming up. Now, like, we don't, people who are younger don't understand how freaking blessed we are, how easy it is to get the word out. And I used to belong, 2009, I belonged to a fantastic, this is kind of when the internet, people were using it, but it was, fairly new. Social media was fairly new. And I was invited to go hear the speaker by the people who ran this amazing Seattle networking group. They were so excited about this speaker. I had never heard of him, but they were so excited. I'm like, I'm going to drive through an hour of traffic and go hear this guy doing his first book tour. I slip in a little bit late. Traffic's bad. I get ushered to the second row. I'm sitting 10 feet in front of Gary freaking Vaynerchuk, his first book, Crush It. And that night changed my life. I couldn't go to sleep because he was like, you don't understand social media. Like, for the first time in history, anybody, you, Heidi, Francine, Joanna, Kate, we can all compete with the big brands. We can put out content. It can go viral. Matter of fact, he's saying this year that the opportunity to go viral for even people who have no following is bigger than it's ever been because of how the algorithms are working. And so we need to like seize the day. Like when you get up and you're like, oh, I don't feel like posting today. Okay, take a day off or two off. But there are so many things. I'm going to give you a rundown of the things that we can be posting about besides my painting, my song, my photo, if you're a photographer, the meal, if you're a chef, we can be posting about the artistic process, the behind the scenes stuff. What inspired you? What did you do to get the result? How was the art made or recorded? What does that song or art mean to you? What do you hope others will take away from it? Where did that recipe come from and how has it evolved? We can use pictures, footage, interviews. We can reminisce. The videos can be complex or they can be really simple. Or I love, you can set up your iPhone with what's it called, the speed thing where it does it really fast, and it can show you painting in 1 minute, like an hour's worth of painting. um, your journey as an artist. What are your wins, your goals, your obstacles that you've overcome, your backstory, your fears, your disappointments? Ask for encouragement. Ask people to celebrate your milestones. Talk about your mentors and your influences. Talk about your opinions. Mary Spender, she's queen of this. Like, her opinions about AI generated music or how Spotify is ripping off artists. Talk about your tools, your techniques, your instruments, your equipment, your paintbrushes, your favorite saute pan, your photography tricks. We can share about affiliate links and sponsors and the things that we recommend, the venues that we love, and we can review other people's music or the venues or the equipment that we are using, and then we can talk about the gigs and the gallery shows that are coming up, and collaborate with others, and then don't forget, we can talk about cover songs or classic art, studio space, hate mail. That's a fun thing. Comments that you got on your Mary Spender, she'll like share, like people are like, you can't sing, and she'll like share that. What are your favorite meals or songs or albums and why? The interviews with other creatives, the lifestyle or a day in the life of an artist or of a musician. Anything related to money is also, like Mary Spender, some of her most popular videos. One of them is how much money I lost on tour, and she went through all of the expenses of her tour, or how much money I made last year on YouTube or from my original songs. So those are just like 20 some examples of all the different things that we can be sharing online besides, do you want to come to my gig? Do you want to buy this painting?
It's so glad that this was all recorded, because I think that list was like more than 20 something,
Like maybe
and I'm going to have to go
200.
back and take notes later.
Ideas. We have to watch this again and take notes for sure. But we're coming to the close of our allotted time for our live stream. And Francine, would you like to talk about what's coming up
Yes.
next?
Since we've been talking about creating content and what you could talk about besides your art form, I am an author. And did you know that nobody wanted to read my books until I was one of the authors in an anthology? I was in this community of other authors. They started reading my books. They started reviewing my books. They started sharing about my books. And then when our book was released, we had all of this content of, ooh, I'm in a new book. Here's about the other authors in the book. Here's what I wrote about in the book. You could be in an anthology about your art form, and you don't have to be a writer, because we will help you get those words on the page. Heidi, do you want to talk about our first workshop and how we're going to help them in the creation process?
Of course, because this is going to get you started. Whether you decide that you're going to do this whole year collaboration thing with us, or if you're just going to get some words on the paper. And so at our first event, we're really going to explore the things that have kind of kept you stuck as a creative. And the interesting thing is when you start to tell your story, you start to figure out a lot of things about yourself. You start to figure out a lot of things about the people that you want to help, who your story's for. And all of this is really important for no matter what your art is. This story is what everyone is going to be attracted to. And if you don't know what your story is yet, this is going to be the place to start. So our event that's in June, it's online, so you can join us from anywhere. And it's going to be a 2-hour event. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of conversation. And so we're going to get started. We're going to get that story, we're going to find it, and we're going to get it started. So, Joanna, before we close off, do you want to talk about Kate's special gift that she has for us?
Absolutely. And Kate is full of resources, and we are going to send Kate a link so she can participate in our online Believe community. So she can post there and we can comment and interact with her there. But she has a 22-page book that is going to blow your socks off. You see how resourceful she is with ideas for multiple streams of income, but it's important to have the right mindset about money. So when you look at Kate's material, it is going to help you transform your mindset, your relationship, your paradigm about money, and she gets you started. And so we're going to put in the comments and in our
Already there.
community, you already did, Kate's gift. and get that free gift. She is as wonderful. Follow her on social media. You already have an amazing song she has. You can get her 22-page book, and then you can engage with her in our Believe Retreat community. And we're so glad to have you today, Kate. Amazing what you shared with us.
It's been great to be here. Thanks so much.
Sure. So next week, we're going to be talking all about the anthology. We're going to go through all of the questions that you might be asking. We're going to take you from the beginning to the end so that you can see what this writing transformation is going to look like, so you know what to expect and know exactly how it's going to help you. And with that being said, I am so excited we get to do the close with Joanna today.
Yes, everyone, this has been amazing today. And remember, everyone, if you can conceive it, you can believe it and therefore achieve it. So from the head
To the heart.
To the hands.
yes,
Yes.
you
can.
can.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to see you next week. We'll see you in the Believe Retreat community. It was awesome. The fabulous Kate Phillips.